Hey guys, just wanted to go over measuring angles with you again. This is lesson 6-9 for this week. So measuring angles, I just wanted to show you a little bit about how to measure them and what you need to do for measuring angles. First thing you need to know is that you do not measure an angle with a ruler. Okay, that will show up on your test. It may ask you exactly what do you measure your angle with. Here is why you don't measure an angle with a ruler. Okay. We'll look at this top angle here, this acute angle, and see why we don't measure it with a ruler. We don't, because if we were to measure it with a ruler, we would bring our ruler up, boom. Okay, so right here on this angle, you could say that the angle is 1 inch. Okay, well, 1 inch angle doesn't make sense. We don't measure with inches, do we? No, we measure with degrees. Now, if I move the ruler up further, you'd say, oh, that's a 2-inch angle, right? That's a 2-inch angle. It measures right at 2 inches when I am measuring it, okay? Does it make sense that the same angle would have two different measurements, just depending on where you put your ruler? No. So that's why we do not measure with a ruler, is because that depending on where the ruler is at, depends on the measurement of the angle. So if we went down here, we moved it down here, it would be a 1/2 inch angle. That doesn't make sense, and that is why we do not measure with a ruler. The first thing you need to know about measuring angles is you need to know the different types of angles. Here are two different types of angles. We have an acute angle and an obtuse angle. So I'll go ahead and bring my board up. So we have an acute angle on top and an obtuse angle on the bottom. Okay. You need to know the different measurements of the angles. An acute angle is less than 90. Okay. And an obtuse angle is always more than 90, less than 180. So more than 90. And this is important. You do have to know these, because when you go to measure your angles with your protractor, okay, we have a protractor here. You can see that there is a set of numbers on both sides of this arc. That's very important for you to notice, is that there are two different sets of numbers, one on the inside, one on the outside. You have to choose which number it's going to measure to. But first, we're talking about making those measurements. You are always going to start at your vertex. Your vertex is your midpoint. Okay? I like to take it and make a mark on my midpoint. So I'm going to go on here onto the board, start working on the board a little bit. So you can see here that this is my midpoint of the two rays. There are two rays that make it up. A ray is where it is a line that ends at one side. It has an end point on one side but continues on forever on the other side. So there should be arrows here for it to technically be an angle. All right. And I'm always going to start my measurement at that midpoint, at that vertex. I like to actually make a circle there on my point, because when I'm using my protractor, okay, taking my protractor, you'll notice that there's a little dot here in this protractor right here in the middle. So I'm going to take that, I put that on my vertex. And then I can't just turn it, oh, my midpoint's on the vertex. Okay, my circle's on the vertex. Well, my circle's on the vertex. Anywhere I move this, I can have my circle on the vertex. That's not the only thing we do. We put the circle on the vertex, and then you'll notice that there is a thin black line running through the middle down here. Okay, I'm going to line that circle up with the vertex. Then I'm going to line that thin black line up with the bottom ray. Okay, so you'll notice that circle's in the vertex, line is going through the bottom ray. Where does it cross? Okay, I told you earlier to watch out for those numbers. Where does it cross? Well, it crosses in between the 40 and the 50, which would make it a 45, or it crosses in between the 130 and 140. So 130 and 140 are on top, 40 and 50 are on the bottom. Which number do I need to choose? Do I choose 135? So 135 or 45? What type of angle is it? It's an acute angle, which is less than 90. Which of those is less than 90? 45. So that is how we use a protractor when we're going to measure. You line up your vertex with the dot, but that's not all you do, because if you turned it, Mr. Ellis, that crosses at 70. Well, you're right, it does cross at 70, but is your bottom line, this black line right here, is it lined up with the bottom ray? Let's turn it, turn it, turn it, turn it, okay, boom, right there, okay, and you can see where it crosses. So you need to make sure that you are picking the right number and make sure that you're lining both of those things up. A protractor is very easy to use. You have to choose the correct number. Is it 135 or 45? Well, it's acute, so that gives me that it's going to be less than 90. And then also you need to make sure that you just line those two pieces up and you will be good to go. That's really all you have to do for measuring with a protractor, measuring the degrees. You do not measure with a ruler, you measure with a protractor. If you have any questions about measuring with a protractor, I would suggest, if I'm not available, ask your neighbor, hey, do you know how to measure with a protractor? If they do, they will help you out. If they don't, ask your other neighbor, and we'll go from there. But if you still are having issues, don't know how to line it up exactly, you can come ask me or watch this video again, and it should help you show kind of what you need to do. Thank you.